The rain was cold, sharp, like it was trying to wash something off me that didn't want to leave. I stood under the hotel awning, watching water slide down the marble steps of the ballroom, where laughter was still echoing. Real laughter, the kind that sticks to your skin. Inside, my father's words were still hanging in the air. I only have one daughter. This thing standing in the back, just a mistake I made 30 years ago. I remember how my lips curved into a smile before I even felt the pain. A reflex, a survival trick learned early. I smiled at the tables, at the crystal glasses, at the people who had known me my whole life, and laughed anyway. Then I walked out. No scene, no tears, no shaking. The doors closed behind me, and the music swallowed the moment like it never happened. That's when my phone vibrated. One message. From my sister. Don't make this about you. You always ruin everything. I stared at the screen while the rain soaked through my jacket. It felt appropriate. I typed nothing back. Instead, I walked. Past the ballet. Past the flower arrangements. Past the memory of every holiday where I'd been the extra chair. My mind was empty. Not calm. Empty. That's the dangerous part. I reached my car and sat there. Hands on the wheel. Engine off. Rain drumming like a countdown. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I replayed the laughter, slowly, every face, every sound, and then something clicked into place. Not anger, clarity. That night, I made 3 phone calls. The first was to a lawyer I hadn't spoken to in years. He answered on the second ring. I told him only one sentence. I'm ready. The second call was to a man who owed me a favor from a decade ago. He didn't ask questions. He never did. The third call was to someone my family didn't even know I knew. After that, I opened my laptop. One email. Short. Precise. Attached documents. A signature at the bottom they wouldn't notice until it was too late. I sent it at 1:47 a.m. Then I finally slept. 2 months later, my phone exploded. 68 missed calls. Voicemail stacked like bodies. Messages from numbers I'd deleted years ago. Please call us. What did you do? We're begging you. This was a misunderstanding. He didn't mean it. I listened to none of it. I just watched the screen light up again and again, vibrating across the table like a trapped insect. And for the first time in my life, I smiled for real. The truth didn't begin at the wedding. That's what took me the longest to accept. It began years earlier. In small moments I trained myself to ignore. The pauses when I entered a room. The way my name was always said last, if at all. The looks that slid past me like I was furniture. I was the mistake. They didn't even hide it well. I just pretended not to see it because pretending was safer. Growing up, my sister had everything handed to her like it was owed. Lessons, cars, applause. I had silence and work. And the quiet understanding that love was something you earned, not something you were given. At the wedding, when my father said it out loud, it didn't shock me. It confirmed something I'd always known, but never proved. That night, after the calls, after the rain, after the smile hardened into something permanent, I went back through my memories like files. There were patterns, and patterns meant intent. Open old emails, messages, bank statements. My name had been missing from things long before the wedding. Trusts, policies, paperwork I'd been told didn't matter. They had already written me out. The wedding wasn't cruelty, it was a declaration. That's when I realized the betrayal wasn't emotional, it was structural. They built a life where I existed only as a reminder of something they wanted erased, and I had helped them by staying quiet. I remembered the day my father asked me to sign a document just for tax purposes. I remembered the way my mother washed my pen instead of my face. I found the copy. I always keep copies. The signature wasn't the problem. The timing was. I wasn't a daughter on paper anymore. I was a liability. They had moved assets, properties, shares, all under the same shell my sister's name was tied to. And then I saw it. My name wasn't removed. It was replaced with hers. That's when the betrayal finally had a shape. Not a feeling, a structure, a plan. I sat at my kitchen table until sunrise. Documents spread out like a crime scene. Coffee went cold. My hands didn't shake. I wasn't grieving. I was calculating. Because if they could erase me quietly, they could be exposed loudly, and that meant I had leverage. I knew things they'd forgotten I was present for, things I'd signed, things I'd witnessed when they thought I was invisible. I remembered the business my father ran through my name when he was avoiding an audit. I remembered the property transferred to me, temporarily, that was never transferred back on paper. I remembered everything, and suddenly, I wasn't the mistake anymore. I was the evidence. I closed the files, stacked them neatly, and slid them into a folder. The red one, the one I keep for things that end lives without blood. My phone buzzed again. A voicemail from my mother. Her voice was different now. Smaller. Please, just come home. We can talk. I deleted it without listening to the end. They still thought this was about feelings. That was their final mistake. Because I wasn't planning a fight, I was preparing a collapse. I didn't move fast. That was the first rule. People who rush make noise. Noise creates witnesses. Witnesses create sympathy. I wanted none of that. I wanted silence. The kind that settles in slowly, unnoticed, until it's too late to escape. For weeks, I lived like nothing had happened. I went to work, answered emails, smiled at strangers. I even replied to a few family messages with polite, empty words. Busy right now. Will call later. Hope you're well. They read those messages as weakness. I let them at night. I worked. I let them. At night, I worked. I pulled records from public databases, old filings, corporate registrations, properties that had been shuffled between relatives like playing cards. My father's signature was everywhere, so was fear thin, hidden, but visible once you knew where to look. I requested copies of documents he never expected me to see. I used the same calm tone he taught me when I was young. Just need it for my records. They sent everything, because they still thought I was harmless. I traced the money. That part took longer. Money always leaves fingerprints, but it hides behind layers. Shell companies, trusts, accounts opened in names of people who didn't ask questions. My sister's name appeared more than it should. She didn't just benefit from the betrayal, she helped build it. Emails between her and my father were careful, polite, legal, but beneath the language was intent. She doesn't need to know. It's safer this way. Make sure it's done before the wedding. Before the wedding. That line burned slowly. They hadn't humiliated me in public by accident. They had done it to distract me, a spectacle. While they finished locking me out, I sat back in my chair and laughed once. Quietly. It was almost impressive. I began documenting everything. Screenshots, printouts, timestamps. I made copies of copies. Then I waited. Because the most dangerous moment is right. Before someone realizes they're losing control. And I wanted to catch them there. I started making small changes. Accounts I had legal access to suddenly required new verification. Vendors stopped receiving payments on time. A lease renewal got delayed by a missing signature. Nothing dramatic, just friction. My phone started ringing more often. I didn't answer. Voicemails piled up. Confused, annoyed, then nervous. My mother's voice cracked in one message. Why isn't this working? She didn't know she was confessing. I let another week pass. Then I scheduled a meeting, not with them, with their lawyer. I used my name, my real name, the one still attached to more things than they realized. When the lawyer saw the documents, his smile faded. He didn't ask many questions. That's how I knew I was right. I walked out of his office with confirmation, not comfort. And in the hallway, standing alone, I felt it for the first time. Not anger, not sadness. Control. They were still laughing at a wedding. I was holding the building plans. And soon, very soon, I would pull the first support meeting. The truth didn't arrive with drama. No envelope. No knock at the door. No trembling hands. It came as a quiet email. 3 attachments. 1 sentence from the lawyer. You were right. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. Not because I was shocked. Because part of me had still hoped I was wrong. I opened the first file. Financial transfers. Dates highlighted. Amounts circled in red. Money moved from accounts that were supposed to belong to all of us. My share redirected. Reassigned. Buried. I scrolled. My name appeared only once. On a document marked Removed Beneficiary. The second file was worse. Property deeds. 3 3 houses, 1 commercial building, all signed away the week before the wedding. The 3rd attachment ended the last illusion. A recorded call. My father's voice was calm. Practiced. She won't fight it. She never does. My sister laughed. Just make sure she's humiliated enough to stay quiet. I closed the laptop slowly. My reflection in the black screen looked unfamiliar. Older. Sharper. I waited 2 days before I moved. Not because I needed time. Because they needed to believe I still didn't know. Then I called my father. He answered on the 2nd ring, already irritated. What do you want? He snapped. I smiled, though he couldn't see it. I have a question, I said softly. Silence. That made him uneasy. When did you decide I wasn't family anymore? A pause. A breath. Then anger, loud and immediate. Don't start this. I already know, cut him. My voice didn't rise. It didn't shake. Another pause. This one was longer. What do you think you know? He asked. I forwarded the files while we were still on the call. I heard the email notification on his end. The sound was small, but it broke him. He didn't speak for a long time. When he did, his voice had changed. Where did you get this? That was the moment. The exact moment control shifted. I got it from the same place you got everything else, I said. Documents don't lie. People do. My sister grabbed the phone. I could hear her breathing. You're overreacting, she said quickly. This was just temporary. I laughed once. Not loud. Just enough. You removed me from everything, I said. You erased me, and you thought I'd thank you for it. My father whispered my name. For the first time in years, it sounded afraid. I ended the call. No goodbye. No threats. I didn't need them anymore. Because the truth wasn't just what they'd done. The truth was this. Everything they owed was still tied to me. One clause. One signature they'd forgotten. One mistake made 30 years ago. And now, I was ready to use it. I didn't tell them what I was going to do. That would have been mercy. Instead, I let them discover it the same way I discovered their betrayal slowly, painfully, and too late to stop. The clause was buried deep. An old agreement, signed when my father was still pretending to be a good man, when I was just a name on paper, not a problem to erase. At the time, it probably felt harmless. It wasn't. It gave me authority over the holding company that owned everything. The properties, the accounts, the family legacy they loved to brag about. I didn't take it immediately. I waited. I let panic bloom. My sister called first, then my mother, then my aunt. Voicemails stacked like debris after a storm. Please call us. There's been a mistake. We can fix this. They couldn't. I filed the transfer quietly, legally, perfectly. At 9:17 a.m. on a Tuesday, ownership changed hands. No announcement, no warning, just signatures. At noon, my father's lawyer called me. His voice was no longer confident. We need to discuss this. We already have, I replied, and hung up. By evening, their accounts were frozen. My sister's credit cards declined at a restaurant. My mother couldn't access the joint account. My father's business partner walked away. The next day, the bank requested meetings. The day after that, the properties were flagged for review. The legacy they built on my silence collapsed in less than 72 hours. I didn't attend the meetings. I sent representatives, strangers with clean suits and colder eyes than mine. That was deliberate. Nothing terrifies people more than being handled by someone who doesn't know their history. I watched from a distance. Messages turned desperate. We raised you. We are your family. How can you do this? I never answered. Not until my father finally came to my door. He looked smaller than I remembered. Old. Defeated. I made mistakes, he said. I nodded. Yes, I agreed. And closed the door. The last thing I did was simple. I sold everything. Every house. Every asset. Every symbol of their power. I didn't keep the money. I donated. To shelters. To scholarships. To people who knew what it felt like to be erased. When the dust settled, they had nothing left to fight over, and I had nothing left to prove. The silence that followed was unfamiliar, not the heavy silence of waiting for the next insult, not the sharp silence before a fight. This one was clean, empty. Why? I woke up one morning and realized no one had tried to reach me in 3 days. No calls, no messages, no guilt disguised as concern. They were done, and for the first time in my life, so was I. I expected something to hurt, a crack, a collapse, some delayed grief sneaking up behind me. It never came. Instead, there was this strange calm, like standing in a room after a storm has ripped everything apart, and realizing the air finally smells like rain, not fear. I thought about that night in the ballroom, the laughter, the heat in my face, the way my father's words sliced clean through me and left nothing but numbness behind. I used to replay it in my head like a wound that wouldn't close. Now, it felt like a scene from someone else's life. That version of me stayed there, standing in the back, smiling, pretending. I don't visit her anymore. I moved to a small place near the water. No one here knows my name. No one asks where I came from. I like it that way. Some nights, I sit on the balcony and listen to the waves. They don't care who you are. They don't care who hurt you. They just keep moving forward. I learned to do the same. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with distance. Distance is the sharpest boundary of all. Sometimes people think revenge is loud. It isn't. It's quiet. It's waking up one day and realizing the people who tried to erase you are now strangers whose voices you no longer recognize. I didn't win. I didn't lose. I simply stepped out of their story, and when I did, theirs ended too. The last message came months later, from a number I didn't save. We still don't understand why you did this. I stared at the screen for a long time, then I deleted it, because understanding was never the point. Freedom was, and I finally had